Alright, here is a video on arc length. So notice length is distance. So basically I'm trying to find the distance of a curved measurement, which is why I can't break out my ruler and measure it. So I need to find a different way of measuring a part of a curved surface. And so what you use is arc length. And so it's the distance between two endpoints along an arc measured in units. So since an arc is a portion of a circle, the length is going to be a fraction of a circumference. So notice circumference is the length of the whole outside, but I just want to find a portion. So what you would do, your equation is going to be this one down here. So the length is going to equal your interior angle, your central angle measurement, divided by 360. So I want to see what measurement this is, times the circumference. So you're trying to find the proportion, or the portion that you need to multiply by the arc length. Okay? So it's measure over 360 times 2 pi r, and yes, you're going to have to memorize it for your EOC. So let's look at some examples. So I want to find the length of zy and round it to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so I'm going to type in the calculator and get 2 decimal places. Notice down here, it can also say leave your answer in terms of pi, which means don't put pi in the calculator because that's going to give you some rounding errors. So if it says round to the nearest hundredth, you can use pi in the calculator. If it does not, leave pi out. So my formula is going to be 75 over 360 times 2 pi r. And I know my radius was a 4. So it's going to be 75 degrees over 360 times 2 pi 4. Okay? So what I'm going to do is type 75 over 360 in and get a simplified fraction of 5 over 24 times 4 times 2 is 8 pi. So I'm going to type in my fraction into the calculator. So now you guys can use your green button, y equals enter, but mine does not work on this calculator. Where did it go? Alright, so I'm actually going to go back up here. I'm going to type 75 divided by 360. And then that's how I got 5 over 24. I'm going to multiply by 8. And I'm going to hit math, enter to make that a fraction. So my final answer would be 5/3 pi. Okay, because a fraction is the most simplified part of that answer. Okay, so any questions on typing that in, let me know. Otherwise, I typed in this fraction times 8, left pi, dropped it down. Now you try B. Again, that 10, if it's in the middle, it's standing for the diameter and not the radius. So you're going to have to do several math on this to solve for zy. Press pause and try it. What I just realized we didn't do, we didn't write it to the nearest hundredth. So I forgot to type in pi actually. For the first one, so you would get 5/3, and you want to times that by pi. And again, pi is above this little caret button. So my actual final answer for this first one will be nearest hundredth, 5.24. So make sure you are reading the directions on these and you won't mess up like me. Again, so on part B, I used 130 and I cut 10 in half to get 5. So I got 13 over 6 times 10, which I simplified it without a fraction. So let me type that in. So 65 over 18. And then I want to times that by pi. So my final answer would be 11.34. So the measure of zy would be 11.34. Okay, so that is how you find the measure of an arc length. When you round it to the nearest hundredth, you would type in pi. When it wants you to leave your answer in terms of pi, you would not type pi in. Okay, all right, so why don't you try these 3 problems down here. Find the length of each measure in red, and then press pause and we will go over them. Alright, so for number 30, you should have gotten 7 over 2 pi. 31 was 8 pi, and then 32 was 27 pi. If you want a quick way of doing that on the calculator without doing the fraction button, for number 30, all you would do is 45 over 360 and hit enter, and then you just want to times it by the 2 and the 14. So I times it by 2 and I times it by 14 because I'm going to skip over that pi sign, and I got 3.5. So you could have had 3.5 pi, but I made it a fraction and got 7 over 2 pi. Okay, so that's how you find the measure of an arc. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can practice.